Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗯𝗏। Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about Dust of Snow, composed by Robert Frost. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. Dust of Snow Summary. It is winter season and the poet is in a bad mood sitting quietly under the hemlock tree covered all over the snow. On spur of moment, a crow sitting on the branch of the tree shakes the tree, and the snow from tree falls on the poet. The snow is cold and velvety to touch, which changes the poet's mood from bitter to elate. This fills him with a refreshing feeling. This moment was very compelling and saves his day from disappointment. The black crow usually symbolizes bad omen and emblem of death and fear. Since the crow is not related to goodwill, it is ironic that during this poem, he did an honest deed by shaking off the snow. Robert Frost did not prefer to use any other trees like oak, maple or pine. He chose the hemlock, which is typically related to poison and toxicity. Similarly, he uses dust, which is useless to anybody and nobody wants to be liking dust. But the poet uses it as an impulse that brings positive thoughts in mind. Anyway, the alluring snow that adorns the poisonous hemlock tree's branches is shaken off by a scurry crow. We have toxic hemlock covered in pure, white, snow, and a person who is depressed, getting to kill himself, and walking under the tree. The black crow throws the snow on the poet. The fields of pure cold snow alter his mind about sacrificing his life. On the contrary, he decides to forget the regrets of his life and sorrow to follow the path of healing of the inner soul. This poem conveys the message that nothing in life is small. Even trivial things can bring positive changes in our life. In addition to this, it also shows that if we take things positively in life, situations do change for better. Even the small help or good gestures we do for others make large differences. Just believe those random acts of kindness we do and the way they brighten a person's day, and sometimes change their future. Noticing and appreciating all the tiny things in life will make our life happier. Conclusion of Dust of Snow. The poem teaches us a lesson that every small act in life can illuminate our soul and motivate us to do better. Hello friends. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. What is a dust of snow? What does the poet say has changed his mood? How has the poet's mood changed? Answer. The dust of snow means the fine particles or flakes of snow. The sudden shower in the form of the dust of snow changed the poet's mood. The poet's mood changed from sad to happy. He felt refreshed and wanted to enjoy the rest of the day. Question 2. How does Frost present nature in this poem? The following questions may help you to think of an answer. What are the birds that are usually named in poems? Do you think crow is often mentioned in poems? What images come to your mind when you think of a crow? Again, what is a hemlock tree? Why doesn't the poet write about more beautiful trees such as a maple, or an oak, or a pine? What do the crow and hemlock represent, joy or sorrow? What does the dust of snow that the crow shakes off a hemlock tree stand for? Do yourself. Question 3. Have there been times when you felt depressed or hopeless? Have you experienced a similar moment that changed your mood that day? Answer. There have been innumerable times when I too have felt depressed and hopeless. Sometimes, such moments were aroused by other people's behavior and attitude, and sometimes due to my own conduct. On one occasion, when I was very upset, I went out for a walk. While walking in the park, I saw a girl playing with a puppy, embracing and feeding him. This little joy that they shared changed my mood and I felt very happy for the rest of the day. I also joined the two and played with them. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗵 myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about Fire and Ice. Poem by Robert Frost. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. Summary of the poem Fire and Ice. Robert Frost's poem, Fire and Ice, is a strong symbolic poem, where the fire is used as the emotion of desire and ice, that of hatred. He has used the idea of two groups who have their own possible explanation for the end of the world. One is of the opinion that fire alone can destroy each and every possibility of life on earth, while the other thinks that if ice as a result of extremely low temperatures could cover the earth's surface, it would lead to the end of the world. Both the components are compared with self-destructing human emotions, desire and hatred. The poet is original of the opinion that he has been very closely associated with the fiery desires and considers it capable of bringing human beings on the verge of destruction. Thus, he considers fire as more competent for destruction. But then, he thinks that icy hatred is just as capable of ruining humans, though slowly and steadily. Therefore, if earth was to end twice, ice would be just as good as fire. If a fire would lead to rapid destruction, ice would lead to silent damage. Similarly, if the fire is pure passion, ice is pure reason. Thus, the poem, very artistically, underpins the philosophy that we let our emotions rule us, and if don't we control them, they will surely bring us all on the verge of chaos. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. There are many ideas about how the world will end. Do you think the world will end someday? Have you ever thought what would happen if the sun gets so hot that it bursts or grows colder and colder? Answer. There are definitely many ideas about how the world will end. I do believe that the world will end someday, as anything that has a beginning will have an end. This stands true for the world also. If the sun got so hot that it burst, the whole of the earth would perish immediately, as no part of the earth can bear the heat of that intensity. But if the sun grew colder and colder, everything will come to an end, as without sunlight, life will end. Question 2. For Frost, what do fire and ice stand for? Answer. Fire stands for greed, avarice, lust, conflict and fury. Ice stands for cruelty, intolerance, rigidity, insensitivity, coldness, indifference and hatred. Question 3. What is the rhyme scheme of the poem? How does it help in bringing out the contrasting ideas in the poem? Answer. The rhyme scheme of the poem is minus a B, a B, C, B, C, B. This rhyme scheme helps in bringing out the contrasting ideas of fire and ice presented in the poem. The poet mentions that both fire and ice are probable ends of this world. He talks about how fire represents desire and can therefore be a cause of the end of the world. Frost also mentions ice in between to symbolize that the coldness and indifference towards one another will be enough to end the world. In the second stanza, he says that he knows of enough hate in the world to be sure that even destruction through ice would be sufficient to bring about the end of the world. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗵 myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about A Tiger in the Zoo. Written by Leslie Norris. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. A Tiger in the Zoo. Summary. This poem is showing the pitiful condition of the tiger in the zoo. It shows the poor condition of the tiger in a cage. In a zoo, the tiger walks in the limited space provided to it in the cage. he can take a few steps. There are stripes on his body which are easily noticeable. His paws are soft like velvet. He does not make any noise while walking on his pads of velvet. Usually, the tiger is silent but in anger. Poet suggests that the cage is not the proper place for the tiger, as it is not its natural habitat. Thus, the tiger in the cage is a victim of human cruelty. Generally, tigers are found sitting under some bushes or long grass near some water bodies, so that the tiger can see its prey like deer coming there to drink water, and consequently can slide silently through the grass and kill them. The poet wants to convey to all humankind that the tiger should be there in the forest and not in a cage. Further, the poet gave a suggestion that the tiger should be sitting at the jungle's edge near the village. It may terrorize the people passing that way by showing its sharp teeth, baring its claws and producing a roaring sound of anger. Poet has deep sympathy due to the unpleasant situation of the tiger who is imprisoned in a cell made of concrete. Tiger is unable to come out due to the strong bars fixed at the concrete cell. So, the tiger's strength is locked behind the bars. All such circumstances are making tiger having no interest in the visitors. And he keeps on stalking in the limited space of the cage. The poet is trying to make realize the people about a tiger who is sitting in the cage and feeling unpleasant and restless. Tiger is still showing no interest in the sound created by the patrolling cars of the zoo authorities. The poet is showing him staring at the shining stars with his brilliant eyes. The poet is raising a moral issue here, and he intends to present a strong case against the cruelty of humans for the animals kept in cages. Conclusion of A Tiger in the Zoo. In this poem, the poet is conveying an important message that wild animals should be in their natural. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗏𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about How to Tell Wild Animals. Written by poetess Caroline Wells. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. How to Tell Wild Animals. Summary. The poet is describing the various wild animals in a very interesting and mysterious way. These animals are very dangerous, but poetess is introducing them one by one in a very funny way. First of all, she tells us about the Asian lion. She says that if you are visiting the jungles of the east and there we see an animal that has tawny skin and may roar that we may die out of fear, it means we saw an Asian lion. Next, she explained the Bengal tiger as a royal animal that at once attacks and kills a man. She says in a humorous way that if this beautiful black, striped animal kills us and eats, then we have surely met a Bengal tiger. After this, she says that if we met an animal with black spotted skin and it at once jumps on him, then it is a leopard. Also, she says that if one will cry out in pain, then it may be of no use as the leopard will not stop attacking him. Then she introduces the bear that she says will hug very tightly. Because in this way bear may kill a person by hugging him very tightly. Further, she asks a question to the readers that do we know the way of recognizing beasts that hunt their prey? Then she explains about hyenas having a smiling face always and the crocodiles which have tears in their eyes. It is quite visible when they are killing their prey. Lastly, in the list of animals, she introduces the chameleon. She says that it is a lizard-type creature, which doesn't have ears and wings just like a lizard. Only this information can help us to differentiate between a lizard and chameleon. She further says that the chameleon has a quality of changing its color as per the color of its surrounding and surface. Therefore, to explain this, she says that if we look at the tree and if we are seeing the tree only, then certainly, it means that there is a chameleon sitting on it. And it has already turned its color to brown just like the branch of the tree. Conclusion of How to Tell Wild Animals. This poem is beautifully introducing the wild animals in a different way analogous to the hidden human beings. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. Does lion really rhyme with lion? Can you say it in such a way that it does? Answer. No, lion does not rhyme with lion. If we change the pronunciation of lion by speaking it as lying, then it may rhyme with the word lion. Question 2. How does the poet suggest that you identify the lion and the tiger? When can you do so according to him? Answer. A lion is a large and tawny beast. A Bengal tiger has black stripes on its yellow coat. A lion roars when it falls upon its prey, while a tiger attacks silently. We can identify the two while roaming in the jungle. Question 3. Do you think the words leapt and leap in the third stanza are spelled correctly? Why does the poet spell them like this? Answer. The words leapt and leap are not spelled correctly. The poet has spelled them like this in order to maintain the rhythm of the poem. The correct spelling of the words leapt is leapt and leap is leap. The poet has intentionally spelled them incorrectly to create a sense of humor. Question 4. Do you know what a bear hug is? It's a friendly and strong hug such as bears are thought to give as they attack you. Again, hyenas are thought to laugh and crocodiles to weep crocodile tears as they swallow their victims. Are there similar expressions and popular ideas about wild animals in your own language? Yes. Answer. A bear hug is when the bear hugs his prey tightly with both hands and presses him to death. There are indeed similar expressions and popular ideas about wild animals in every language. For example, in Hindi, we say मगरमच्छ की आंत तो आना, crocodile tears हाथी की डेंट दिखने की और अब पैचते हॉट क्या जब चिदिया चग गए खेत गिरजित की तोरा रंग बदलना. Question 5. Look at the line a novice might know plus how would you write this correctly? Why is the poet's incorrect line better in the poem? Answer. The line a novice might know plus can be written correctly as a novice might be known plus. However, the poet's incorrect line is better in the poem, as it maintains the rhyme scheme of the poem. By writing it incorrectly, known plus rhymes with thus. Question 6. Can you find other examples of poets taking liberties with language, either in English or in your own language? Can you find examples of humorous poems in your own language? Yes. Answer. One can find plenty of examples in poetry where poets take liberties with language. This is called poetic license. Poets take such liberties in order to create proper rhyming and rhythm. For example, in the following lines the word pressed is used instead of pressed so that it may rhyme with breast. A tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweat-flowing breast. Question 7. Much of the humor in the poem arises from the way language is used, although the ideas are funny as well. If there are particular lines in the poem that you especially like, share these lines with the class, speaking briefly about what it is about the ideas, or the language that you like or find funny. Answer. The way the poet has used language and ideas in the poem is indeed humorous. The lines from the poem that appears to be funny are a noble wild beast greets you. The idea that a wild beast is going to welcome you is quite funny. The language in the line, he'll only leap and leap again is also very humorous. The concept of leap from the word leopard generates humor. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗘έχει𝗴𝗶𝗀𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about the ball poem, summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. Poet John Berryman is beautifully describing a boy who has lost his ball. He gave a lesson that is full of wisdom through the loss of everyone, must learn to bear the pain associated with loss. The poet assumes a boy who is playing with a ball. Once the ball bounces out of his control and consequently falls into the water. The boy became sad. The poet feels that no other ball will be sufficient to lessen his sadness. Here, the lost ball stands for the general loss of a human being. The losses may be the loss of personal possession or the death of some near and dear one or due to the separation from the beloved one. As long as there is life, everyone has to bear many types of losses. Therefore we need to learn the way for bearing those losses. The ball poem summary in English. This poem is about losing something, which we love, and then learning to grow up. It is about a little boy, who in his young life, for the first time, is learning what it is like to experience grief after the loss of a much beloved possession, which is here his ball. Maybe for us, the loss of a ball is of minor consequence. Our natural reaction may be that still there are many more balls. So, need not worry. But to a little boy, this is something different. One can get another ball with a very less amount of money. But, money is external and immortal here, as it cannot buy back the love and hence cannot replace the things that we love. In this poem, the boy's ball van is easily personifying with his young days, and which were happy and innocent. People may take balls just as they will take away our innocence and force us to grow up soon. And once we lose our innocence, then we cannot get it back. But, despite all of these, we have to learn to stand up. Obviously we need to be strong and get on with our life, irrespective of the sadness inside. This is the only way we will survive. Therefore, we have to learn to accept, and let go. The poet has made the use of the imagery while telling how the ball personifies the spirit of the boy's childish innocence. We may visualize how the spirit of this little boy, like the ball, is sinking into the dark waters of the harbor. And as it drifts further away, the little boy will learn to grow up, and that part is linked to that ball grows up as well, until it is no longer a little boy. Thus the reader may interpret this poem literally and metaphorically both. If literally, then it is a soulful picture of little boys growing up and learning to deal with the loss of the first in his possession. If metaphorically, then it is the story of mankind learning to deal with the loss of their loved things or people. Conclusion of the ball poem. This poem successfully describes how we may feel to lose something that we love and grow up eventually without it. Hello friends. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. Why does the poet say, "I would not intrude on him"? Why doesn't he offer him money to buy another ball? Answer. The poet says, "I would not intrude on him" because he does not want to intervene in the natural process of learning. He wants the boy to learn the meaning of loss on his own. He also doesn't offer him money to buy another ball, because that would be worthless. He wants the boy to learn the lesson of responsibility. Question 2. Staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. Do you think the boy has had the ball for a long time? Is it linked to the memories of days when he played with it? Answer. Yes, the boy has had the ball for a long time. When it bounced into the water, all his memories of the days of childhood flashed in front of him. This led to a realization that those moments would not come back, just like the ball. He can buy new balls and can similarly create new moments, but those that are gone would not return. Question 3. What does "in the world of possessions" mean? Answer. In the world of possessions means that the world is full of materialistic things. Here everything, and every action is made to possess something, whether it is the possession of land, property, money, or any other thing. The poet suggests that, losing a ball, which is a very small thing, would make the boy understand what it is like to lose something that one possessed. Question 4. Do you think the boy has lost anything earlier? Pick out the words that suggest the answer. Answer. No, it seems that the boy had not lost anything earlier. The words that suggest so are he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗏 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about Amanda. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. Its poet is Robin Klein. The poem focuses on the upbringing of a small child, whose name is Amanda. Amanda summary. This poem expresses the state of a little girl's mind who is constantly instructed about do's and don'ts by her mother. The girl named Amanda and her mother who is irritating her for her mistakes. Her mother used to give instructions not to hunch her shoulders and to sit up straight. Her mother reminds her to finish her homework. The little girl Amanda keeps dreaming about freedom of life in the open. Her mother also believes that she sits in a sluggish manner. To this, Amanda uses her imagination to escape her parents' day-to-day commands. She claims there is a serene, emerald sea with only me as a resident. She finds tranquility in her own made-up universe, where there are no boundaries. Amanda imagines herself as a free-spirited mermaid gliding across the green sea's gentle waves. Amidst this, Amanda is also dragged out of her dreams by her mother's question on whether she cleans her room and shoes. Amanda has another daydream, in which she imagines herself as an orphan wandering freely, barefoot in golden silence and uninterrupted freedom. She utters that she would have enjoyed her freedom, then, by making the patterns of her bare feet on the sand. She would live a peaceful life. Her mother's nagging complaints break her daydream. The mother forbade Amanda not to eat chocolates because of her acne and pimples. She also rebukes her for not looking at her while she is talking to her. Amanda is enjoying another dream that now she fantasizes herself as Rapunzel, a character from a fairy tale, and wants to live like her, in a huge tower peacefully. She dreams that she will never let down her hair from the tower like Rapunzel. In the tower, she will live an alone and peaceful life. She will never allow anyone to come to the tower. Finally, the mother forbids her from being moody. Because she doesn't want anyone to make her feel guilty that she is harassing her daughter. At this time, the poet has not written any response from Amanda's side. This constant nagging has made her so upset that she has even stopped dreaming of herself as someone else. She always tries this only in order to escape from the continuous harassment and dominance of her parents. Amanda's parents feel that she is not reacting because she is annoyed. Her actions have made her parents look bad, and they are concerned about their image. They are anxious about how society would judge them if their youngster is constantly grumpy. Conclusion of Amanda. This poem conveys the moral that children need to be allowed more freedom. It is true that children need to be taught good manners and etiquette, but parents must also remember to give their infants their personal space, ample time to learn, and enjoy their youth life. Excessive nagging may make them annoyed and disobedient, and hence, they may develop a type of dislike for real life. It is the moral responsibility of parents to raise their children in such a way that they understand their point of view, rather than becoming frustrated. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. How old do you think Amanda is? How do you know this? Answer. Amanda is about a 9 to 10-year-old school-going girl. She is being scolded for things typical for that particular age. Her parents are trying to inculcate in her good manners and etiquettes. Amanda is very innocent and immature. Question 2. Who do you think is speaking to her? Answer. One of her parents is speaking to her. Most probably it is her mother. In a traditional household, mother is held responsible for the conduct of child. In this case, also, the range of instructions suggests that the speaker is Amanda's mother. Question 3. Why are stanzas 2, 4 and 6 given in parentheses? Answer. Stanzas 2, 4 and 6 are given in parentheses, because they reflect the inner thoughts of Amanda. They can be taken as the reaction of the child for the instructions given in stanzas 1, 3 and 5. Here, there is an alternate sequence of scolding of the mother, and corresponding reaction to it given by the child. Also, parenthesis is used here to make the reading of the poem friendly. Question 4. Who is the speaker in stanzas 2, 4 and 6? Do you think this speaker is listening to the speaker in stanzas 1, 3, 5 and 7? Answer. Speaker of the stanzas 2, 4 and 6 is the child, Amanda. No, she is not paying any attention to the speaker of stanzas 1, 3 and 5 as she is lost in a world of her own. Her imagination provides her an escape from her sorry reality. Question 5. What could Amanda do if she were a mermaid? Answer. Amanda wishes to be a mermaid so she could carelessly move along on a languid emerald sea. She just wishes to be carried away by the green sea waves slowly and gradually. Amanda longs for a place where she is all by herself as her happiness is not dependent on any other human being. Hence, she desires to be a mermaid because for a child, mermaid is a symbol of freedom and wonder. Question 6. Is Amanda an orphan? Why does she say so? Answer. No, Amanda is not an orphan, though she wishes to be one. She is so much stressed with the continuous nagging of her parents that she imagines herself to be better without them. The mere presence of her parents around her depresses her. Amanda is a little girl who seeks golden silence and sweet freedom. She wishes to roam around streets and draw patterns with her bare feet. Indeed, it is horribly depressing that Amanda expects being an orphan. Question 7. Do you know the story of Rapunzel? Why does she want to be Rapunzel? Answer. Story of Rapunzel. Rapunzel's story revolves around her life on a tower. Rapunzel was made to live on a high tower by a witch. She eventually got used to living there. She was happy and satisfied with her life. Rapunzel had very long golden hair, using which the witch used to pay her a visit. The fate of Rapunzel took a turn when one day, a prince came to meet her using her hair. The witch had punished both of them by separating them. Finally they met after a couple of years only to be united forever this time. Amanda wishes to live like Rapunzel on a high tower away from everyone. She seeks peace and harmony. That is the reason Amanda wishes to be like Rapunzel. However, she also makes a point that in order to avoid being disturbed she would never let her hair down for anyone to climb to her. She needs no one to make her life happy. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗏𝗋𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about The Trees. Poem by 𝗙ǐ𝗴𝗏𝗏. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From Subject English. For Class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. The Trees Summary. In this poem, I is the voice of the speaker of the poem, 𝗙ǐ𝗴𝗏𝗏. The trees is the voice with a body engaged in the activities and sensing intrusions that are not organic to the conventions of a nature poem. This is actually an unnatural poem that narrates the struggle of a population of trees to escape the confined surrounding of a greenhouse. Through the trees, this poem demonstrates the unsuitability of the language itself as a greenhouse. The poetess is the witness for the trees' exodus but making distances herself from participating in the making of something out of the spectacle. She can sit and write too. Even though the speaker addresses the audience, her own head is full of whispers and she is an audience as well. We, however, the audience to the poem, are compelled with the command. The speaker reaches across the barrier between the poem and the audience. A transaction that occurs on the page, and says for listening. Poetess articulates her consciousness of the many levels of inner and outer and the blurring of the boundaries between them. In the poem, the trees are, in the house of the poet, their roots work, all night to disengage themselves from the cracks of the floor in the veranda. The leaves are making efforts to move towards the glass. An open door is for the night and the whole moon and the sky is available to the speaker. This tree is at the same time, through this door, the smell of leaves still reaches back in. The speaker's head is another interior and implicitly entered by the whispers. The poetess is especially intrigued by the image of the trees similar to newly discharged patients. The poet is making a comparison to the long cramped branches, which are shuffling under the roof with the newly discharged patients from the hospital. As they are moving towards the hospital doors after their long illnesses, the branches have cramped under the gaps with the roof. Therefore, they want to get out into the open to spread themselves in the fresh air. Conclusion of the trees. The Tree is a short symbolic poem, and it focuses on the movement of trees that are initially indoors, but seeking to escape to freedom in the forest. The trees represent the nature and womanhood in particular. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. 1. Find, in the first stanza, 3 things that cannot happen in a treeless forest. 2. What picture do these words create in your mind? Sun bury its feet in shadow. Point 1. What could the poet mean by the sun's feet? Answer. 1. The 3 things that cannot happen in a treeless forest are the sitting of a bird on trees, the hiding of insects, and the sun burying its feet in the shadow of the forest. 2. The sun's feet refers to the rays of the sun that fall on the earth. When there is no shadow on the ground, because there are no trees, the rays fall directly on the ground. In a forest, with trees, the shadow hides the sun rays, and it seems that the sun is burying its feet in the shadow that fall from the trees. Question 2. 1. Where are the trees in the poem? What do their roots, their leaves and their twigs do? 2. What does the poet compare their branches to? Answer. 1. In the poem, the trees are trapped in the poet's house. Their roots work all night to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves try very hard to move towards the glass and put a lot of pressure on it so that it breaks, while the small twigs get stiff with exertion. 2. The poet compares the branches to newly discharged patients of a hospital. The large branches of the trees become cramped due to the roof above them, and, when they get free, they rush stumblingly to the outside world. While doing so, they look half shocked like the patients, who wait for a long time to get out of the hospital. Question 3. 1. How does the poet describe the moon? A. At the beginning of the third stanza, and B. At its end. What causes this change? 2. What happens to the house when the trees move out of it? 3. Why do you think the poet does not mention the departure of the forest from the house in her letters? Could it be that we are often silent about important happenings that are so unexpected that they embarrass us? Think about this again when you answer the next set of questions. Answer. 1. At the beginning of the third stanza, the poet says that the full moon is shining in the open sky in the fresh night. At the end of the stanza, she describes that the moon breaks into pieces like a broken mirror and shines on the heads of the tallest oak trees. As the trees move outside, they cover some of the shine of the moon and it can be seen only in parts. This is why it seems that the moon has broken into pieces. 2. When the trees move out of the house, the glasses break and the whispers of the trees vanish, leaving the house silent. 3. The poet hardly mentions about the departure of the forest from the house in her letters because it is humans who did not care for nature in the first place. So, maybe, the poet now thinks that nobody would be interested in knowing about the efforts that the trees are making in order to set themselves free. If other men cared about the trees, they would not have destroyed them. It seems that this whole beauty of trees, moving back to forests, can be seen and felt only by the poet. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about Fog. Poem by 𝗘ន់𝗵𝗏𝗂𝗏. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. Fog summary. 𝗘ន់𝗵𝗵𝗏𝗀 was a well-known American editor and poet. He has won 3 Pulitzer Prizes. Most of his poems were about the Chicago city where he lived. Among his many collections of the poem, The Fog is the shortest poem. But still, this poem has strong reflections about nature. This poem does have a deeper and strong meaning. The first 2 lines of the poem are simply describing how fog comes in. Fogs are visible in cold areas or in mountains or forests. But in this poem, the poet describes fog which is happening in the cities and harbor. He gave a wonderful comparison between the fog and a cat. When a cat comes around us, mostly, it is coming so slowly that hardly anyone is getting notice. The same is the case with the fog and its arrival. It just comes in and engulfs the entire place. It stays on for some time, creating trouble for anyone in between it, but still stays, as though it is not aware of the happenings around it. Then the poet says that it just comes, sits at the harbor and looks at the city. It is at the silent hunches and then finally moves on. Here the poet described the happening, once the fog has arrived. Fogs as such do not cause any harm, because it is very silent and the onset it is slow too. But when the fog is around, especially in the city, many accidents may occur due to low visibility. Thus due to fog people cannot see properly anything in between them while driving on the road. Hence sometimes fog may be very harmful to human life too. Therefore, a fog comes in similar to a small and silent kitten, and it sits and watches the beauty, while it covers the whole city. At last, the poet is saying that as a small child gets bored playing the same game, and hence moves on to the next. Similarly, the fog does not stay in one place for a long time. Therefore, after some time, the fog also moves on. Fog does not stay longer at any one place. Conclusion of Fog. This very small poem is describing nature's act in a beautiful manner. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. 1. What does Sandberg think the fog is like? 2. How does the fog come? 3. What does it in the third line refer to? 𝗙BC 2012. 4. Does the poet actually say that the fog is like a cat? Find 3 things that tell us that the fog is like a cat. Say that the fog is like a cat. Find 3 things that tell us that the fog is like a cat. Answer. 1. Sandberg thinks that the fog is like a cat. 2. The fog comes silently like a cat on its small feet. 3. It refers to fog. 4. The poet does not actually say that the fog is like a cat, but he uses the metaphor of cat for comparison. 3 things that tell us that the fog is like a cat are: it comes silently like a cat on its small feet. It looks over like a cat. It sits on its hunches like a cat. Question 3. Does this poem have a rhyme scheme? Poetry that does not have an obvious rhythm or rhyme is called free verse. Answer. This poem does not have a rhyme scheme as the sentences do not end with like sounds. There is no pattern of similarity in the sounds of the ending words of any of the sentences, therefore the poem is written in free verse. Thank you. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about The Tale of Custard the Dragon. Written by Frederick Ogden Nash. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From subject English. For class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. The Tale of Custard the Dragon. Summary. Frederick Ogden Nash is an American poet, who is famous for his light verse. He was famous as the producer of humorous poetry. He wrote this poem The Tale of Custard the Dragon in the style of a ballad, means a song that tells a story. Ballads narrate the tales of courage or heroism. Such a humorous ballad is ending with a parody. The poem begins by introducing the poem's main character, Belinda. Belinda lived in a little white house, with her 4 pets: a black kitten, a grey mouse, a yellow dog, a little dragon and a red wagon too. The name of the little black kitten was Ink, the little grey mouse was Blink, and the little yellow dog was Mustard. Boo, the dragon was a coward, and Belinda called him Custard. Custard dragon was having big sharp teeth, spikes on top of him and scales underneath. His mouth was similar to a fireplace, and his nose was like a chimney. Also, he had daggers on his claws. Belinda believed herself as brave as a barrel full of bears. Ink and Blink were able to chase lions down the stairs. Mustard was as brave as an angry tiger. On the other hand, Custard always acted as the weakest one. Belinda always tickled Custard ruthlessly. Other pets sarcastically called him Percival, means a knight of King Arthur's court, who sought the Holy Grail. Belinda and the other animals used to laugh at the dragon, who was a coward, while sitting in the red wagon vehicle. Whenever Custard wanted a safe cage for him, Belinda and Blink giggled to their heart's content. Not only this, Ink and Mustard asked him how old he was, that he was scared of every little thing. Belinda and her pets were awakened one day by a nasty noise. They were all terrified at the same time. When they observed a pirate climbing through the window, Ink and Belinda both raised an eyebrow. The pirate had guns in both his hands and a knife between his teeth. He had a black beard and one of his legs was made of wood. Seeing the pirate, Belinda started crying for help. Mustard became scared and raced away, making a lot of noise. Ink and Blink raced to their holes and hid as well. The pirate shot 2 bullets at Custard, but they did not affect him in any cause. Only Custard fought with the pirate and ate him up in his single bite. Belinda embraced Custard, and Mustard licked him. As the dragon devoured the pirate, Ink and Blink danced around it in delight. As Custard saved everyone, all thanked him. But in the end, they realized that they used to make fun of the dragon as he was timid. So, all of them suddenly started saying that they are braver than him and hence could have handled the situation in a much better way. Custard's timid ways persisted even after this daring incident. He was still pleading for a safe cage. Conclusion of the Tale of Custard the Dragon. Here the poet was trying to say that sometimes a timid person is an actual hero in the toughest situations of life. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. Why did Custard cry for a nice safe cage? Why is the dragon called Cowardly Dragon? Answer. Custard cried for a nice safe cage because it was a coward and was scared very easily. It is called Cowardly Dragon because everyone else in the house is very brave while the dragon is the only one who fears a lot and looks for a nice safe cage for himself. Belinda is as brave as a barrel full of bears, Ink and Blink can chase lions and Mustard is as brave as an angry tiger. Question 2. Belinda tickled him, she tickled him unmerciful. Why? Answer. Tickling always works on people who are a little softer. So, Belinda tickled the dragon unmerciful as it worked a lot on him. Despite being a dragon, a tickling could disturb him and this showed his cowardice, on which everyone laughed. Question 3. The poet has employed many poetic devices in the poem. For example, clashed his tail like iron in a dungeon. The poetic device here is a simile. Can you, with your partner, list some more such poetic devices used in the poem? Answer. In the poem, The Tale of Custard, the Dragon, the poet has used a lot of poetic devices. Following are the devices used. Question 4. Writers use words to give us a picture or image, without actually saying what they mean. Can you trace some images used in the poem? Answer. Writers always use such phrases and words that do not tell us directly about what they mean, but always gives us an indication of the meaning. Such words or phrases are used to trigger our own imagination in painting the picture that they mean. Use of such images in the poem is the following: mugged like a fireplace, chimney for a nose, brave as a barrel full of bears, brave as a tiger in a rage, went at the pirate like a robin at a worm, etc. Question 5. Do you find the tale of Custard the Dragon to be a serious or a light-hearted poem? Give reasons to support your answer. Answer. The tale of Custard the Dragon is a very light and funny poem meant to be enjoyed by everyone. The way the poem has been written with a fixed rhyme scheme makes it very easy and enjoyable to read. The poet has even used wrong spelling to maintain the rhyme scheme. The features of Belinda and her pets described in the poem make it quite funny. Belinda's bravery has been compared to a barrel full of bears, a liquid substance. All the tiny creatures, such as the kitten and the mouse, have been shown so brave that they can scare a lion, and the dog's bravery is like a tiger's rage. The biggest of them all, the dragon, is the only one who has been shown as a coward and soft being, who looks for a kid for himself, which is very ironic, hence, making the poem funny. Hello friends. Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. Welcome back to our channel. 𝗙𝗲𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗵 Myself Potlu, your friend and Prakash friend. Please subscribe my channel, like it and share it to your maximum friends circle or needy friends through your WhatsApp, Facebook or any social media. We shall learn about For Anne Gregory. Written by William Butler Yeats. Summary and some important questions from this poem. From Subject English. For Class 10 students. You must learn this poem from your textbook. For Anne Gregory. Summary in English. William Butler Yeats wrote many love poems. For Anne Gregory is one of the best and beautiful poems by him. This poem is in the form of a conversation between a speaker, who may be the poet himself, or Anne's lover or friend, and may be Anne Gregory herself. The other speakers may be in the belief that the young man loves Anne for her external beauty. But here, the speaker, maybe Anne Gregory, says that external beauty is not the real, and therefore young man should love her for herself only. In this poem, the poet is presenting the description of a lover's love for a woman. The lover may like the yellow color of the woman's hair, but he does not like her ramparts, means here the hair around the ear. So, the lady does not approve of his love. She wishes such a lover who loves her based on her internal qualities, and not by the external and physical look. She says that her yellow hair is a temporary entity. Therefore, she may dye them into another color, like brown or black or carrot soon. And hence in this way, she may get her true love due to her internal beauty. Then the poet says that only God loves we all humans on the basis of our soul and internal qualities and but our body and physical features. Undoubtedly, only selfless love is true, and God only gives true love. Poet is of the view that most people love others only because they attract them by physical qualities. Thus, the complexion of the skin and the color of the hair may be more important for us than the real worth of the person. It means we rarely love people for themselves alone. Even the beautiful Anne Gregory does not want to be liked or loved for her external beauty, or her rare qualities of her beautiful yellow hair. Shallow-minded people only adore physical beauty. But rather, we should look for spiritual beauty before falling in love with a lady. Physical beauty is just an illusion and momentary. Unfortunately, most of the people are merely attracted by the color of the skin and hair. Conclusion of For Anne Gregory. God never loves us for our looks and external beauty, but only for our inner beauty. Hello friends. Some important questions from this poem. Question 1. What does the young man mean by great honey-colored/ramparts at your ear? Why does he say that young men are thrown into despair by them? Answer. The young man in the poem prizes the great honey-colored hair of Anne. Anne's hair have been called rampart, meaning a wall. It is called so because they act as a wall, as they prevent young men from looking beyond those yellow hair and into her soul. Her hair are so attractive that young men cannot look at anything else. Anne's yellow hair are so pretty that young men hopelessly fall in love with her. She is so pretty that everyone wants her, which cannot happen, hence, they are thrown into despair. Question 2. What color is the young woman's hair? What does she say she can change it to be? Why would she want to do so? Answer. Anne's hair are yellow, like the color of honey. She says that she can change it to black, brown or carrot. She means that she can change it to any color she wants. Anne says so to show that outer beauty is changeable and not permanent or real. She wants young men to look in her soul and love her for her inner beauty. In order to do so, she needs to show them the superficiality of her external beauty. Question 3. Objects have qualities which make them desirable to others. Can you think of some objects, a car, a phone, a dress, and say what qualities make one object more desirable than another? Imagine you were trying to sell an object. What qualities would you emphasize? Answer. People desire objects because of their qualities that suit their need. The things we consume, goods we use, such as a car, a phone, a dress, etc. Physical qualities matter the most. Before buying anything, it is always considered that the object is durable and looks pretty. If I were to sell a dress, I would select the one that is very appealing to the eye and comfortable for the body. Then I would emphasize on the durability of the dress, so that the customer feels that he/she is spending his/her money at the right place and in the right thing. Question 5. You have perhaps concluded that people are not objects to be valued for their qualities or riches rather than for themselves. But elsewhere it asks the question, how can we separate the dancer from the dance? Is it possible to separate the person himself or herself from how the person looks, sounds, walks and so on? Think of how you or a friend or member of your family has changed over the years. Has your relationship also changed? In what way? Attend it yourself.